So went on Instagram stories, by the way, and within a week had sold out 10 one-on-one spots.
There's this pattern that you have, which is I'm just gonna try it out. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna see what happens.
If you were guaranteed to make $10 million next year in your business, it's happening, no question. What would that look like?
Hey, welcome back to Seen, Known, Paid. I'm your host, Marina Gerges, and we've been on a bit of a break. But because of that, we decided to put together some of our favorite bits from our past episodes so that you can continue learning and building your true to self, authentic personal brand. And here is one of our favorite bits from one of our past episodes. So tune in. I'm talking about when you want to share like a hot take on social media and you are scared of judgment or you're scared of what people are going to be thinking of you. But more importantly, you're scared of your own judgment of yourself. We're going to dive into it with my special guest today, Erica Reitman, who is the rule breaking business coach and agency owner whose proudest accomplishment recently was to be elected as the president of the Zero Fucks Club. So if you want to get in, you got to put in an application with her. Take us back to, Erica when she first started with the coaching business. Tell us a little bit about how did you end up doing what you're doing today and how did you position yourself as the iconic Erica?
Thank you. Well, I accidentally kind of became a coach. The story was I used to be an interior designer in my former life, and I just always had this like feeling that I wanted to help as many people as possible. And so at that time, I was actually going to a coach, seeing a coach myself, and she dared me one day after one of our sessions to go onto Instagram and make an offer for one-on-one coaching and see what happens. And if nobody signs up, okay, we'll come up with a plan B. But offer 10
Wow.
spots, see if you can do it. You've been talking about this for a while. Let's make it happen. Like shit or get off the pot. So I did that and I wanted to start out doing what I knew, which again, interior design, building an interior design business with no training and, all of that sort of insider stuff. And so that's who I first targeted and worked with. And even though it was a big pivot for me, I definitely had people in my audience already who I knew would be interested in an offer like this. And I was lucky at the time to have a pretty decent following. And I'm very much someone who loves to experiment. So went on Instagram stories, by the way, and within a week had sold out 10 one-on-one spots for my
Wow.
yeah.
Just like putting yourself out there, Erica. I
Yep.
feel like that's something that I'm hearing as you're speaking. There's this pattern that you have, which is I'm just gonna try it out. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna see what happens. You're a very
Yeah.
curious person. Do you think of yourself that way too? Or like what do you think contributed to this ability to be so open to say yes to move to Mexico, saying yes to
Yeah.
putting out a coaching offer when you're like, I'm not a coach. I
Yeah.
just love doing this, saying yes to interior design. Where does that come from?
Yeah. I mean, I think a few things are going on. I am a manifesting generator in human design. I don't know
Same
if you
here.
Okay, so you can probably relate to always coming up with the ideas,
Yeah.
always coming up with it's to the point now where I am so comfortable being in a constant state of like
Mhm.
creativity and coming up with ideas. Sometimes I actually feel like I want to shut it off. Like, okay, I got it, got enough ideas today. I can't deal with anymore. So that's just always been, who
Mhm.
I am. And I think that this is just a part of me. I really love this idea. For me, especially I used to work in corporate America. And when I decided to become an interior designer, it was very much the same thing. I was shocked that people would actually agree to pay me to decorate their homes. I was most surprised about this, like more than anyone else. But once I decided to do that and I realized I'm going to take a chance, I'm going to quit my job and see if I can make this work. right from the get-go, I thought to myself, if I am gonna do this, if I'm going to go through the motions and the effort and the intention
Mhm.
and time to build my own business, I am only gonna do shit that feels super fun for me. I am going to take chances and do all of the things that when I had my corporate jobs, I was not able to do because I was coming up with good ideas all the time. And everyone was kind of like, oh, okay, good idea. Let's keep doing it the way we've always been doing it. Even
Ugh,
though we've always been doing it sucks.
yeah.
We're going to keep doing it that way. So it just was this reminder that, like, I am the CEO now. I am in
Mhm.
the beautiful office on the top floor in the penthouse suite looking out at the city with my feet up on the desk. How do I want to run my own business?
Mhm.
And so that
Wow.
is something that I think about constantly, and especially when it comes to taking
Mhm.
chances and doing things like that. I mean, I have a very tiny little operation over here. When would it be better to do things like that, to experiment, to try things, and to
Mm.
really honor, I think, too, I've now been in business for over 5 years. I've changed so much throughout that time. And so, even though when I started, I had an offer, it sold like hotcakes, I could still sell it today. It just isn't quite a good fit anymore with who I am and who I want to be out
Mm.
in the world. And that's okay too.
Yeah, that's such a good point you bring up here, Erica, which is a lot of people want to stay stuck in the offer that does so well for them over the years, even though as the entrepreneur and as the solopreneur, the
Yeah.
face of their business, the star of their business, they have changed as a human because
Yeah.
we evolve every day, every month, every cell turns over and we become a different human. But we
Mhm.
don't honor the human in our business. And then we wonder why we feel disconnected. We wonder why we're not showing up authentically and we're trying to find a remedy to show up authentically. Well, bitch, the
Yes.
authenticity is here. It's within, it's
Yes.
listening and tuning in and saying what needs to change, right? So, how do you then navigate these changes, Erica? Like, do you sit down and say, okay, well, this is doing well for my business, but I don't resonate with it anymore. So, fuck it, let me try something new. Do you have a certain way that you go about doing this?
Yeah, I mean, again, as an MG, I'm
Mhm.
not particularly organized when it comes to my processes and my systems and things like that. I have gotten, I think, better and better over the years at really trusting my gut and trying to tune into the things that just feel good and fun and exciting to me and give myself the space to change my mind. I am in the process of launching a membership now. And I have sworn up and down throughout my entire career as a coach that I was never going to do a membership. It didn't appeal to me. It didn't feel like it fit in well with the sort of life I wanted to lead.
Mhm.
I have been in memberships. I have been bored with memberships. I don't even like the word. Like, it just didn't feel like it ever was a match. But once I started, and it happened this summer, I was going through, and I talk about this often. I've struggled with depression most of my life, but especially since I've been in my 20s. And luckily, I take medication. It's not so much a part of my everyday anymore. But even with all of that, I do have my moments. And this summer, I've been calling it the summer of depression. And I just really had 2 or 3 months this summer where I was in it and I was really thinking about my life and my business and the things that we were doing. And I started having this little nudge that it would be super fun to create a membership. And
Mhm.
I was even saying to myself, like, what are you talking about? You don't like memberships. You've always said that you don't want to do one. But I just challenged myself one day because I kept having this thought and it wasn't going away. And so I said to myself, if you were going to do a membership, what would it look like if you were creating the most incredible, the most fun, the
Mhm.
membership that you've always wished existed for you but never did? Sky's the limit, no limitations. What would it look like?
Mhm.
And once I started going through that exercise, I was like, wait a minute, this actually feels super fun. And I too am someone who loves the challenge of figuring something out as well. My favorite thing to do is to create offers and social media content and all sorts of stuff in my business that just doesn't look like anyone else's. So I really just started to get excited about this idea, started brainstorming, and here we are a few months later.
Even hearing you speak about this, Erica, and like watching your body language, and I mean, this will be up as a video too for people listening on Spotify. But like your whole body was so engaged as you're talking about this. That's such an indicator of like something we actually are creating from the heart, from the soul. And if we feel this way about whatever it is that we're creating, if you put it on Instagram story and you show up and talk about it, or TikTok or wherever
Yeah.
you're promoting, it's just a full body yes for you first. So how
Yeah.
can anybody else not say yes to that? Because the energy, it transmutes. Like
Yeah.
people will feel your energy through the screen. And I'm a firm believer of that is that people can feel whether your whole soul and heart is into your business or not. And you do such a good job at that. When you show up, we get full Erica. You're so present. You show up, but I think it's because that's what you do. Like you sit down and think, what could be the juiciest, most fun offer that I could create for people?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a big piece of it. I also think a big piece of it is I joke that I am the president of the Zero Fucks Club. And
I
as a
love it.
dictatorship, I will never be giving up my seat. Think of me as Vladimir Putin. I'm just never going anywhere. Getting into that club is the hardest club you will ever get into. Forget about
Mhm.
Soho House or anything else. Like the Zero Fucks Club is where it's at. And it really, once you kind of figure it out and practice giving zero fucks and showing up on
Ah,
social media and doing what you want in your business and sharing your opinions, you just realize it opens up a whole new world for you.
you're speaking from that space, but how do we move or how do you move through not giving a fuck and moving away from even self judgment? Because I really think it stems from there first, too.
Yeah. I mean, look, it definitely for me is something that has come with age and has come
Mhm.
with practice. It's not like you make a decision to join the
Yeah.
Zero Fucks Club and
Yeah.
like that day your membership gets approved. That's not how it works. You really do have to practice it a lot. But I think what I realized in my own life, and most of us have had this experience, if you've ever tried to control the way someone else thinks of you or feels toward you. Most of us have had the experience with a friend where we say something or we do something completely innocently, and we don't realize that it really upset our friend or family member. It really hurt their feelings. It really hit them in a way that we did not intend to at all.
Mm.
And once I had this understanding that I thought I was controlling my friend. I thought she was just gonna feel happy and great about me and excited to come over and hang out and all of that, and it didn't work. And so we've all been in relationships probably where we've tried to do it just doesn't work. I finally realized the only person I can control 100% guaranteed is myself. And it was such this feeling of freedom when I realized that, because what I finally decided was if I can show up every day on social media, in my business, in my life, in an aligned way, in a way that feels good for me, in a way that makes me feel proud and excited to show up. What you think of me is none of my business. I can't control it. I wish I could, but I can't. So if I can't control it, I may as well show up and say
Right.
exactly what I want without worrying about what angry mom 22 is going to think about it, or Sheryl in accounting, or the high school friend who you haven't talked to in 10 years, but you know that you're connected on Facebook and maybe they're going to see it. Like talking about it now, it sounds so silly, but I know we can all relate because we all do this. But
Yeah.
I am just out here telling everyone I'm president, so you have an in now. I want to approve your membership in the Zero Fucks Club because I am telling you it will change your entire life.
Sign me up, Erica.
Your application is moving to the top.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I mean, this brings me to think about something you always say, which is your brain is a dick. Okay. I like catch myself often telling myself that, like, Marina, your brain is just being a dick. It's lying to you.
Yep.
And I just want to dive into so many things, but I want to be conscious of your time. And I want to ask you a closing question.
Okay.
And this is something I ask all my guests is like, what does it mean to you to be living vivaciously?
For me, I think it's this idea that I'm constantly challenging myself to think about both my life and both
Mm,
my business in a way that I'm able to really dream big. And so I love to journal. So I will often do exercises like, okay, if you were guaranteed to make $10 million next year in your business, it's happening, no question. What would that look like? What would your
mhm.
everyday look like? What would you be selling in order to make that $10 million? What would your travel life be like? And I force myself to dream in a way that, for whatever reason, our dick brains typically get in the way of. And that gets to be so common and familiar for us that we don't push it. We don't ask ourselves to dream as big as we possibly could be. And so for me, it's making sure that I'm always doing that. And I have to remind myself because my brain is a dick too.
Thank you so much for being so generous
Of
with your
course.
wisdom, with with everything, like your energy. So I'm really happy I got the chance to talk to you today. Thank you.
I'm so happy too. I loved our conversation. I always love when we get a chance to talk and catch up. And I am just so excited to get to know some people in your community now.
Incredible. And for anyone who wants to connect with Erica, all the information is going to be in the description below. And if you love this conversation, please share it with a friend. And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.